Now, what are some of the most important characteristics you think a man should look for in a woman?
There are so many characteristics. For me, I had height was one of them. I needed
Someone
because
shorter than
somebody no at least taller, at least tall, somebody tall.
okay.
Yeah, because you're looking at the offsprings eventually, your children. So you want your children to not be stout.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gross.
Then in my requirements, it's somebody who knows and understands God. That was one of my key requirements because I've seen um, people that lacked the knowledge of God, um, people that were meeting others in the discourse, in the clubs, and things like that. And when they lacked that component, it was very difficult to form a family. Any conflict, there will be no basis for uh, reconciliation, because once you have that godly foundation, reconciliation becomes easy.
Yeah, there's a
There's
difference.
forgiveness, there's understanding of those terms,
Yes.
there's rebuilding the relationship. We are not perfect, we are not perfect, and things in the relationship do happen. Um, you may be even suspected, or you find um, another girl that just falls in love knowingly. She even knows that you are married and just tries to come into that relationship, and those bring about issues. Sometimes you may not be, as a man, you may not be very vigilant, and you may smile or give a hug back, things that will show to the wife that there's something happening. And those are issues that happen. So if you're true to yourself, the quality that you look for in a woman, like for me, somebody who understands God. And everywhere you go, you find that. And you find people that don't care about God everywhere you go. Maybe, unlike Africa, but in most countries like Europe, you find people that are, they tell you point blank, I'm atheist, I don't know about your God. I'm an atheist, and I'll do what I want, I've got my own rules. And if you meet such, it's very difficult.
Yeah,
in terms of culture, like I was always say, women, a man molds the woman the way you want the woman to be. So you not find a picture perfect woman, but you can mold her into the culture you want her to be, the kind of respect. So you mold, and then you mature together. So, but drunkards, that's a no-go. If a woman loves drinking alcohol too much, for me, that's out.
What about the casual drinker?
Casual drinker is fine, because that has control. Because a drunk woman is a danger to society. Is a danger to society. In general, yeah. She can do anything. Anything can happen, and the excuse is already there.
I was intoxicated.
I was drunk. And if you can't bear and live with that, yeah. So for me, I had those qualities. Not a drunkard. At least knows God. Is beautiful.
Of course.
And beautiful in my case at many dimensions. It was not only beauty, physical beauty, but also a beautiful brain.
And heart.
Yeah, and a beautiful heart. Because a person who is able to learn, a person who can get, who has self-criticism, a person who can adjust and flexible in the mind, then you are good to go.
Let's talk about another topic. Fatherhood.
Yes.
I don't know if it was recently, whenever, but it was Father's Day.
No, it's gonna be Father's Day. I think the next Sunday or so.
Yeah, I'm sure you're expecting a gift.
Not as much as I give gifts on Mother's Day. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's the thought which counts. It's the thought which counts.
Yes.
I'm wondering, do you believe in corporal punishment yourself?
Well, I was raised, you know, I'm an African. I was battered. I was disciplined the right way. And unfortunately or fortunately, I hated it then, but then when I grew up, I realized without that corporal punishment, I would have grown into somebody else.
Now, it's beautiful. I can actually ask a parent this.
Yeah,
Definitely, a significant chunk of African parents beat.
yeah.
Now, there are some situations where I feel they just.
I wouldn't call it beating, I would call it discipline.
Okay, we'll use the more politically correct
Yes,
term,
discipline, yes.
But there are times when I feel parents, just give their children a hiding out of frustration. The workplace didn't go well for them. They didn't expect their money. Any small discrepancies by the children, he just gets scanned. Do you think that's fair? Have you ever spanked your children out of frustration?
No, that is a no-no.
Okay.
For me, what I've grown up to understand is that a disciplined child is actually a pride for the parent. I take pride when my kids visit other places or other parents, and I get praises. The parents will be telling us, "Oh, your children are so well disciplined. They are well behaved. They did this. They did that," and that shows that our methods of disciplining them are working. So the most important thing for me is respect for the elders. That is key. We were brought up in that way. Respect for the parents. There's not any time that the child is going to answer harshly to the parents.
But
Or
shouldn't the child defend himself? Because sometimes as a child defending themselves is perceived to be rudeness.
let them defend themselves in society. Let them defend themselves elsewhere if they're being attacked. But when the parents are dealing with the children, there's no attack. So I wouldn't call that defense. In most cases, what you want to avoid is that children they're like a sponge. They pick bad behaviors from elsewhere very quickly, even from television. Especially the biggest challenge, like for our societies, the US film cinematography and the movies. Because in the US movies, they want to portray children who are disrespectful as being cool. Children who can, set a trap for the parent to fall into, and maybe something falls or the parent falls and they laugh at that as being cool, which is absurd for our culture, because that is total indiscipline. So in our case, is to not really shield, is to re-educate the children, in as much as you cannot isolate them from watching those movies. They're going to watch them and they are going to pick those as sponges, and they are going to test you as a parent, in such behavior, or answering or banging the door in their room or doing things like that. And you tell them, look, even if you've watched this is not right. This is not. So it's like debugging, because the role of a parent now is like you have a child and external forces are throwing in bugs, and all you're doing is debugging. And that is very key, to explain to them that this behavior is not right, biblically or as a Christian, and even as an African child. Because in our upbringing, respect is one of the key things in the African culture.
Now, let me ask you a question. Assume maybe your son comes to you and tells you, "Daddy, I'm gay." What's your response to that?
My response to that would be shocking, because initially we've instilled, not overlooking the whole situation that is happening. We've explained to the children from way at their early age, because we were in South Africa at some point when I was doing my PhD, and the kids could see these things, and they would ask, why is that man with a man? Why are they kissing? Why is that lady kissing another lady? And we would explain to them that this is the situation here, but then we'll give them the Christian background to say, in our Christian background, this is not right. It's not acceptable. So as a Christian, you are a boy, you're going to marry a woman, and biologically, these are the functions that God designed you to have. You have a penis, she has this, and that is the purpose of this design.
Mhm.
That's God's design.
Now-
And then your other body parts have got their duties as well. Yeah,
Now, let me ask a question, and perhaps this is going to an African parent.
yeah,
Specifically in Zambia, if the girl child gets pregnant,
yeah.
now 9 out of 10, okay, that's too much. But significantly,
Yeah.
there are one of three options. She gets married to the man,
Yeah,
that's non-negotiable.
yeah,
The parents are okay with it, which generally this only happens in a modern context,
yeah.
or she is disowned. Now, what's the logic between forcing a woman to get married to a man
Mm-hmm.
and disowning her? Why do Zambian parents choose to take these two drastic solutions?
You know, it's a pity. After traveling in many countries, I realized that our culture has pluses and minuses. One of the minuses that our culture, our African culture has, is that it does not give the freedom for children to date and meet with other people. So that freedom not to date brings about secrecy. I remember I brought home my girlfriend innocently, naively, and to me it was normal. I had a girlfriend, I brought her home, introduced her to my mother.
You got slapped.
No, I introduced her to my mother, and my mother was there cleaning, pumpkin leaves, and she was also helping. Now, when my brothers came and they found that my girlfriend is there seated, they told me, no, this is taboo. You're not supposed to do that. It's illegal, it's blah, it's a case, it's so many things. I got confused. But then when I went to Russia, I was shocked to find that as early as 15, 16 years old, if they two like each other, they are encouraged to come to the parents so that the parents know what's going on. First of all, and they must also know the character. So they can guide the girl to say, no, that boy you are with, I think is not a good character. So they will give periodic guidance, but they would encourage them dating, which builds up understanding of male-female relationships, because they're quite complex. It's a complex scenario, and our culture denies us of that. So you end up, that's why we find that 3/4 of our marriages are after pregnancy. And in Zambia, in Africa mostly, 3/4 of the marriages are after pregnancy, which is not a case in Europe. In Europe, pregnancy comes after marriage. And that's the scenario that we must look into. Because if you allow dating and give that freedom to date, people even become more careful, because you know the boy already, you know the girl already. Anything happens, no one is going to deny. So they become responsible. For me, I was thinking it's the opposite. I was thinking the secrecy, the banning, the stopping of this is effective and helps. But it does the opposite, because in secrecy, you meet at night, and what you do at night, you end up doing the things that are not supposed to. But then the European setup, especially the Russian setup, they allow them to date, and they date during the day. They would come. Yes, they would come home. They will sit in the kitchen where the parents know they are. They will chat, and then the boy will go. It's a controlled environment.
During the day.
Yes, because I tried to bring my girl during the day, and I was castigated for that. So I ended up following the routine. It's in the night now. You sneak out in the night. Which is bad. You can't even enjoy, chatting. And that female-male relationship takes time to learn and develop the skill to understand the female behaviors, their moods, and all that. And that makes you become a gentleman. The moment you know and understand how to conversate with the females, then you become a gentleman.